Hey guys, how you doing? This is Marty from Blue Lightning TV. Can you do me a favor? Just let me know that you can hear me and that you can see me. Just type in the chat that you can hear me in any case, anybody, and that would really be helpful. Um, yeah, I haven't done a live stream in a couple of months, and I'm really excited to do this. I had a really great. I always have a great time hanging out with you and answering your questions. Um, and Today we're going to do a really fun assignment. I included the files for you in the video's description below the title of the video, so you should see it. And great. Bender Daniel Paul says, work perfect from France. Fantastic. I really appreciate it. So just to kind of get things started, let me do this. So hopefully at this point you'll see the screen. What we're going to do, is we're going to create a graphic and essentially distress it, weather it on whatever background you have. Um, so, for example, let's see, let me minimize this here. So, for example, we've got all of these graphics that that you can do that essentially was placed onto their respective walls. And it really gives you a great realistic result. And it's really quick. Now, this happens to be a preview of a graphic, of a tutorial that we're going to do next week. So this actually is a preview of next week's tutorial. It's a short tutorial. It's very effective. It's probably the most effective and the quickest technique for this kind of thing. So before we get into it, let me answer some questions here or comments. Somebody from Arlington, Texas, Nahat Alili. Greetings from Serbia, Milos Usilek. I apologize for mispronouncing your name. Greetings from Israel, Timmy Pop. Wela Express, I am from India. I am following you from last year. That's great. One of the things that I really love about doing these tutorials is chatting, with people from all over the world. And it's really exciting when you think about it. I mean, it's in this day and age to just chat live from people. It's incredible. Rahul Kok says, my year's 17. I'm a designer and web page design, logo design, my home, India. I can't pronounce this guy's name. Finally, I can see the guy behind one of the most awesome YouTube channels. I can now die in peace. That's very kind, but I hope you don't die soon. Greetings from Baghdad, Iraq. Basmin Riyadh. How you doing? Mervan Hamahad says hello. And Manu Navarro says greeting from Mexico. So, yeah, let's get started here, okay? What we're going to do, I'm just going to close this out. And we'll start with this background. I actually included two different backgrounds. I got this background here, okay, and I got this logo, and this gas logo, and a grunge wall texture, and I've been having problems with Photoshop for some reason, and it's really distressing that this happens. I might have to restart Photoshop. There's been a glitch I might have to restart it later, but if so, it'll only take like a minute or two. So what we're going to do is this. Once you have your background, okay, you go into channels. Now, each background is going to be different. It's going to have different characteristics, different colors, different brightness, different contrast. What you want to do is you want to go through, you want to hit the thumbnails on each of the channels, the red, the green, and the blue. Now, what we want to do is we want to pick the channel that has the most contrast. Now, since this background is essentially red, the red channel is going to have the most contrast. So we'll pick, now it doesn't necessarily mean that the red channel is going to be good for your background, but if you want to follow along, you can open up the files that I included, and you can do that. So you want to pick the red channel, okay? We're going to make a copy of this red channel. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag it down to the new layer icon, and it makes a copy. See, red copy. What we're going to do is we're going to increase the contrast even more. So press Control or Command L, and that opens up the levels window. And we're going to take the input shadows and drag it to the right until, you know, most of the dark area is pretty black, and the input highlight to the left. Now, this actually is probably, well, it isn't probably, it is the most important aspect of this tutorial, because you have to find the right balance between blacks and whites. If it doesn't have a lot of midtones, the background's not going to show through the logo that much. Conversely, if you have too much, the logo is not going to really show through well. So you have to kind of get like a right balance. So that feels about right. That feels about right. You know, we can always adjust it later. So I'm going to click OK. All right. Now we're going to make a selection. We're going to make a selection of the of all the tonal values of this image. To do that, we're going to go to the thumbnail, and we're going to press Control as we click on the thumbnail. Now you might notice these sort of like these running ants kind of a thing, you know. That's a selection. We're going to click on the RGB channel thumbnail, all right. Open back the Layers panel, all right. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a new layer and click the Layer Mask button. Now this makes a layer mask of the of that channel, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to open up a logo. Now or you can use text, by the way. If you're using a logo or a graphic, and you want to place it onto the background, you're going to first want to get rid of the background around the logo. Now in this case, the background is white. So if yours is a graphic on a white background, okay, you open up the quickest way is to open up the magic wand tool and just press W for that and click the magic wand tool. All right, and make sure contiguous is checked. That prevents the white inside your graphic from being selected. So if you click anywhere on the white background and you press Q, that will create a quick mask, and you can see that nothing is filled inside the logo. Press Q again to revert it back into a selection. Now what we're going to do is press the delete key. Whoop, get rid of the lock. Press the lock icon first. Press the delete key, and that deletes the white background. So now it's just your logo on a clear background. And we're going to want to deselect it. So press Control or Command D, and that deselects it. Let's just go to the chats here. Okay, Dagberto Azevedo says, it's very nice to know you, Marty. I've learned how to make plenty of things with your videos. You are really the magician in Photoshop. You are the best one, so all your works are perfect. Well, thanks. I appreciate it. I really do. Rahul Cook says, please give me to Photoshop CC 2018. Well, I can't do that for two reasons, okay? One reason that it's illegal, and the other is it's unethical. What you can do is you can go onto the Adobe site, the Creative Cloud Adobe site, and you want to subscribe to the photography plan, which is $9.99 per month, USD, US dollars per month, however that comes out into your currency, but it's like $9.99 here in the United States. What that does is that gives you the latest version of Photoshop, which right now, as we're doing this, it's CC 2018. It gives you Lightroom, and it gives you 20 gigs of cloud storage. So for like $10 a month, you get all of that, and it's updated immediately. Any updates for the versions, if it goes to 2019 or further on, you get it you get it with your prescription. That's really the best way of doing it. But it's got to be the Creative Cloud Photography plan, the one that gives you 20 gigs of cloud storage for $9.99, because they do sell one that includes a terabyte of cloud storage, but that's more money. Google Ads says just crack it, and he has a just crack download a cracked version, and he has like a smiley face next to it. Color Movement says, sir, all of your tutorials are very helpful. Please reply from India. Greetings from Romania, Pro Gamer PC2. Greetings right back at you. El Nino says, congratulations for your success, Marty. Thank you. I appreciate that. Right now, as far as YouTube subscribers, a little past 600,000, which I'm very, very happy about. According to Social Blade, which is a website that gives you future projections, they say that if I continue this rate, I'll hit 1 million subscribers in the summer of 2020, which is a little more than 2 years, which is fine. I mean, I know, one of the things about doing things online on YouTube is that the websites that really, not the websites, but the channels that really do well, that become YouTube stars, so to speak. I mean, they're pretty much on camera, like all the time, And I'm sort of kind of a background type guy, I don't particularly like to be on camera that much. I mean, this is different. This live stream is great because this is my chance to chat with you one-on-one, and I look forward to it. But when I do my tutorials, Photoshop tutorials, for me, I prefer not to be on camera. I know there's a lot of guys that do Photoshop tutorials that are on camera, and many of them, are achieving a lot of success in a much quicker, because I think there's a personal connection when you're on camera, and I could be on camera, but I choose not to. First Last says, what's your favorite subject to work with in Photoshop? For example, poster making, spacescapes. That's a really good question. There are two areas that I really enjoy doing. One is, actually there are three areas. One is graphic design. I love doing posters. I love trying to replicate specifically vintage posters, Bauhaus, letterpress, Swiss design, goes on and on. And most of them are vintage. They're vintage posters. And I really enjoy psychedelic from the 60s. But I try to go from different decades, from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on. I really get a kick out of doing that. I do like to do text portraits, for example, or just not text, but portraits in general, faces. I like to do that very much, and I love typography. I love doing really experimenting and having fun with typography. So I guess those are the areas. Wilhelm Korpel asks, "Do you sit for a blue screen?" Yeah, I actually have a green screen right now that's behind me, and basically it allows me to put myself on a background, or to basically, to go back to the Photoshop screen. I would do that as well. But yeah, I have a green screen behind me. I have professional umbrella lights facing me, which basically it's sort of like each light has it looks like an umbrella, but it's the umbrella itself is white and translucent, so it disperses the light evenly. ProGamer PC2, Marty, I want to have the font NutraFace installed on your computer. Okay. Color Movements asks, "Sir, or black-white image convert to color?" Well, I have the reverse. I did one that's color reverted to black and white, but let me preface by saying that if you have a color photo and you want to make it look black and white, but control all the tonal ranges to make, for example, I did a tutorial of a mountain range. I think it was Yosemite. And when you use the black and white filter, it pretty much just changes it to black and white. However, in the black and white filter, you can adjust specific things. For example, the sky behind the mountains in Yosemite had a lot of clouds. It was a blue sky with white clouds. Now, to enhance that effect, to make the blue sky almost look medium to dark gray and make the clouds really pop, you can do that with the black and white filter. You can take the trees and intensify the trees in black and white, if you understand. So it ends up looking like a beautiful Ansel Adams photograph. Milos Usil Jebraka, I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing your name, says, do you use a Wacom tablet? Indeed I do. I don't know if you can see it, but here's my pen, here's the Wacom tablet. This model is a CTL 490W. It's small, but it works great. And as I explained in one of my past live streams, if you're doing any kind of work that requires any kind of artistic, brushing or drawing, you don't want to be using. I don't want to be using a mouse. I used to work at NBC. I worked there for 35 years. I worked with many artists there, and many of them prefer to use a mouse. And to me, doing detailed work with a lot of finesse, when you're having a mouse in your hand, it's like holding a brick. And can you imagine an artist trying to paint with a brick in his hand, Hey, some people like it. Some people like it. But for me, I like using a pen. It's pressure sensitive. It feels much more intuitive. For me, it's a no-brainer. Max Gottfried says, Sue Simmons says hi. For those of you who don't live in New York, Sue Simmons was a New York anchor, for a news anchor for the local WNBC in New York. She no longer works at NBC, but she worked at NBC from the late 1970s, I believe, to maybe the early 90s. That's funny that, Max, that you would even... do you know Sue? Anish George says, how background changes. So he wants to know how I changed the background from this to this. I use a program called OBS. It looks like this. Okay, it's a free program. It's simple. But it does its job. There are a lot of other programs out there that you could use that are much more, they're more versatile. They're more powerful. But for the live streams that I do, I just really need two things: one, to show my screen, and then me larger on a background. Max Gottfried says, Sue and I dated. Not really. Ha. Okay. Aman Ullah says, hi, I'm a really big fan of yours and your techniques from Bangladesh. Thank you. What time is it in Bangladesh anyway? Must be late, huh? Let's Learn Guitar says, hello from India. YouTube has analytics, so every channel can figure out like what countries tune in to your videos more often, the age group, the gender. So for me, it's the United States, Canada, then it's India, and then it's, I believe, Germany, and what is the other one? The Philippines. So anyway, all right, so we're at the point where we have the, so I opened up my Move tool. You can also press the letter V for Victor, and you basically just drag it onto the tab where the background is. Without releasing your mouse or pen, you just drag it down and release. Now, to size it, press Control or Command T, and to see if it's too large and the Transforms bounding box goes past your canvas, in order to see it, press Control or Command 0 to fit it onto your screen. Wild Africa says, I am near from Germany. Cool. Go to a corner, and when you see a diagonal double arrow, you press and hold Alt or Option plus Shift, and you drag it in or out. All right? So I'm going to drag it like, I don't know, I'll make it a little bit, I'll make it like that. And then you press Enter or Return. Now, here's the fun part. You take the layer, click on the layer, and simply drag it up right next to your graphic. And there you go. I mean, it really does a remarkable job. Like you can see in this rusted area, some of the logos, pants are coming through. It's really remarkable. I just love this technique. I mean, it's that simple. It really is that simple. Now, what you can do is, say you have this this image. All right, it's the same thing. I'm going to use my magic wand tool. Make sure contiguous is checked. Click it. Click the lock icon. Press Delete. Deselect it. Control or Command D. Open my Move tool. which is V, and bring it up onto the tab of the background, bring it down, hide the big boy, the first graphic, and just simply drag it next to the new logo. Now, if you do it this way and you use your transform tool to resize it, this chain link right now is linking the graphic and the layer mask. If we transform it right now, the layer mask will also be transformed, will also be resized. We don't want to do that because the layer mask matches perfectly the background. All right? So you click the chain link to unlink the graphic, the layer, and the layer mask. Now they could be moved or resized independently of the other. So I'm going to make sure the graphic is highlighted. We don't want the layer mask highlighted. We want the graphic highlighted. Press Control or Command T, Control or Command 0 to fit it onto your screen. Alt or Option plus Shift and drag it in or out. Press Enter or Return and move it. I mean, I find it very effective and very simple. I mean, this is probably the simplest, quickest tutorial that I've done that's the most effective as well. Now remember, you know, the key is finding the balance, the right balance for your layer mask. So if you let me go to the chats for a second. I just noticed something. Mehmet Ergel asks, do you think to use iMac or MacBook? Many people use it, and it's fantastic. For me, if I'm traveling and I'm doing work, outside, for me, Windows 10 works. Windows works the best, and the reason is this: my screen recording software called Camtasia Studio or Camtasia right now works better with Windows than it does Macs. It just does. There's a lot of problems on Macs, and even TechSmith that makes Camtasia admits that. Now, that's the version Camtasia 8, which is the version that I use. They do have a newer version, Camtasia 9, but I happen to like Camtasia 8 better. But Camtasia 9, I think, could very well work just the same on a Mac. So I'm just talking Camtasia 8. That's really the main reason. When I worked at NBC, all we used were Macs, exclusively Macs, all Apple. When I got home, I used Windows. So, as long as the MacBook, as long as your, the MacBook has or the iMac has enough, it meets the requirements to run Photoshop efficiently, the processor speed, the memory, the video card, as long as it's, and you could go on Adobe and find out exactly what what it needs, what your computer needs, the requirements. So, and if it's powerful enough, why not? Bassman Riyadh says, do you use any montage programs like Premiere? I do not. The three applications that I used at NBC were Photoshop, After Effects, and Illustrator. The last two I haven't used since I left NBC, which was frankly 8 years ago. It's remarkable that it's been 8 years. I mean, feels like a year ago, but I haven't used it since then, and I've forgotten how to use those programs, because if you don't use it, you lose it, as the expression goes. Let's Learn Guitar says, can you explain the blend if? Sure. So for example, if I double click on the layer, I get the layer style window. Now down here it's called blend if. I don't know if you can actually see it, but it says blend if. Now I'm going to move this over a little bit so you can see it. There's this layer, and then you have the underlying layer. And well, let me before I do that, let me just close this here. Let me move this up. So this layer is right below this graphic. Okay. So I double click on the layer. It opens up the layer style window. So if you move them, you see what happens here. It says blend if gray, so it gets to a point where all the dark areas are clipped off. If I move it this way, the light areas get clipped off. Underlying layer basically, removes. You're not going to see the graphic, if you move it out. Now, if you press Alt or Option right in the middle of the arrow, it breaks it into two. Now you can take the right half. Well, that's actually not. That's let me move it here. Oh, see, I think Photoshop just froze. All right, let me try it again. See, I told you we're having a glitch here. So Alt or Option, and I drag the left area. What happens is it clips it. It clips it so you have a lot more control when you're doing it. Yeah, I'm not getting what I want to show you here. Okay. In any case, it's clipping different aspects of the tones, so you have a lot more control. So you can actually control your graphic, the erosion or the weathered look even more than if you want to go that route. See, if you want to make it even more eroded, you can do that as well. But I find that just you still want to kind of see it, but you have that option. It says. Max Godfrey says glitches don't happen on Macs, Marty. Yeah, well, they did when I used to work on Macs at work. We had a whole team of technicians that would fix the glitch, but there's a lot less glitches. Absolutely. Joseph Blaze asks, what exactly did you do at NBC? What I did was I worked on a number of shows over the years. I initially started doing news graphics for WNBC, which was, it was a fast turnaround, and you really had to and it was all analog, by the way, when I started. I mean, there weren't any computers, any broadcast computers. So I used to do I used to work on airbrush, real airbrush. We had an airbrush room with a number of silent compressors. We used paint, color paper. I mean, it was all, we had to cobble together graphics every day, 2 or 3 graphics every day for the news show. And then I became a designer and then art director for the station's promotional department. So I worked with the producer and I designed the graphics. And oftentimes it was really graphic intensive for to promote these stories that would be appearing that day or that week on the station. And then I got a job there doing. I did Saturday Night Live for a little bit. I did for 15 years. I worked on Late Night with Conan O'Brien, which was sort of like a late night comedy talk show. Um, and I just saw a black on the screen, so I'm hoping I'm still alive here. Um, so I worked on that for 15 years. That went on after the Tonight Show. For those of you in the United States, it went on at like 12:30 a.m. every night, um, and yeah, and then other Dateline, other shows basically and programs. But the most fun was the Late Night with Conan O'Brien because it was entertainment, and I prefer entertainment over news. It's more fun, and you get to laugh, and the creativity is. They gave me full reign to do pretty much whatever I wanted as long as it conveyed the idea that the comedy writer wanted. They gave me free reign, which was wonderful. Uh, First Last says, I use a pen and tablet to draw stuff in Photoshop, so I don't find myself needing a lot of your tutorials, but the ones I have needed have been really helpful, so I wanted to thank you. Also, hello from Scotland. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, my tutorials, uh, they're for all levels, but my tutorials, I really feel for the beginners and novices because I remember how it was in the beginning, and too many online tutorials assume you know all of the steps. Assume you knew, I mean, the cursor's flying around the screen and you're sitting there and you're looking and you're saying to yourself, what did he do? Where did he go? Why did he do, and, it's frustrating, you know? So I always put myself in the position of a beginner or a novice. I always say, don't gloss over any, don't, say you want to go to your, open your move tool. Here's the move tool. You press Control or Command V, or just V. Or if you want to use the zoom tool, you press Z. Just don't do it, So I try to, explain, and it can get frustrating for very experienced Photoshop users, and I totally get it. But the thing that I do for experienced Photoshop users is try to provide an interestingly enough project that they'd want to do. Something that looks relatively complex. And sometimes I do tutorials and I say right at the top, I say, this tutorial, I'm going to be moving a bit faster for more advanced users, So I kind of let people know up front that I might be moving faster. I might be not covering everything, every single step. But most of the time, I would say not, 90% of the time, I really try to make it a point to, not to, I make it a point not to assume that you, the viewer, knows exactly what to do. I want to, and then you get experienced enough. If you watch my tutorials, enough, you get the hang of it. You get to know what the different tools do and all the shortcuts. And at that point, maybe watching my tutorials might be moving a bit too slow for you. I mean, that's your, but again, I try to keep your interest by working on, and you got to remember, I train as a professional graphic designer, animator, artist, and so when I approach my tutorials, I approach it as a project, not just to show you the tool. Like, this is what this tool does. This is what that tool does. I mean, there are many channels that do that for you. Okay, But for me, if you want to create something cool looking, I show you how to do it. And I show you how to do it, within 5 to 15 minutes. At least that's the length of my tutorial. I mean, Benjamin Williams, it looks like Russian, and you asked me a question because there's a question mark, but in Russian. I don't read Russian. So if you know English, I can answer your question. There's a lot of Russian-speaking people in the chat room, and they're all asking me in Russian. So try to maybe, if you know English, just translate it, because I don't understand what you're saying. So I'd appreciate it if you want me to answer it. Xacre says, "Hey Marty, will you create more animation tutorials in the future?" Sure, absolutely. I only did like 3 or 4. I showed you how to make a GIF file. Again, it's pronounced GIF. I know there are a lot of people that still pronounce it GIF, but the creator, this guy Steve Wilhite, who created the GIF, pronounces it GIF. So, as an homage and respect to him, it's GIF. Enis Huskanovic says, "Greetings from Sweden." Hello. Let's Learn Guitar says, "Why was I unable to use oil paint in Photoshop every time? It does not affect my image." Well, the first thing that you should do is go to Image. Let me show you. You want to go to Image, Mode, and make sure RGB color is checked and 8 bits per channel. Now, recently somebody asked me, well, why do you use 8 bits per channel all the time? And the reason, there's a number of reasons, but the main reason is that many of the filters in Photoshop, they don't work unless it's 8 bits. They will be grayed out and not work if it's 16 or 32 or 64. 8 bits is really what you want to do. Plus it uses a lot more memory, 16-bit for example. And it really is unnecessary to use more than 8 bits unless you have you're working for a client and they've got a lot of color correction that's, that's important to the job. But for the most part, that's the reason I use 8-bit. So if that doesn't work, you should contact Adobe or maybe reinstall Photoshop, which I might have to do in this case. I might have to reinstall Photoshop because I'm getting that glitches, and that ain't cool. Says, "Hi from Morocco. I love your lesson so much. It's I can't even. I apologize." Dennis Main says, "Hello, what's happening? I just got here." Well, you missed 45 minutes, buddy. I just showed people how to create graphics onto an eroded wall and make it look like it lives there. But I'm doing this tutorial next week. It'll be on YouTube. I'm also going to repost this live stream, but I'm doing a tutorial next week, so you get to see it. This is just a preview. Yash Laluwadia asks, "Can you show how to reduce size of a GIF made in Photoshop without losing much quality?" Also, hello from India. Yeah, I mean, well, the whole thing about GIFs work best when they're on the small side anyway. But when you're doing a GIF animation, make it as large. If it doesn't play back, watch my tutorial on making GIF animations. Okay, if it's and I explain it actually in the tutorial. If it's not playing back correctly, reduce the size of your images in the animation for the GIF. Mehmet Ergal asks, "Do you think to teach taking taking photos together with Photoshop. I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry. So let me go back to this wall texture. See the wall see what's happening? The wall texture is not okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart Photoshop, but before I do that, I'm just going to shift my my view. So now you'll see me in with my artwork behind me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart Photoshop when I do this. Here, let me just bear with me 1 second while I do this. All right, I'm restarting Photoshop. Hopefully, sometimes I have to restart my computer, but I don't want to do that because if I do that, the screen will go black and the live stream will end abruptly, and that ain't going to be fun. Dennis Main asks, "Is it like England?" I'm assuming you're asking. I mean, I'm in New York right now, and you're asking me, is New York like England, like weather-wise? I guess it's a similar latitude, you know, so it's not going to be that much different. Your summers are the same summers we have here, pretty much, and winters as well. But let me. I'm opening up. What I'm doing right now, guys, is I'm opening up a new logo and a new texture. Let's see if it works. All right, well, so far so good. Let me go back to the screen view. So what I have right now is I've got ProGamer PC2 says, "Hello from Romania, Marty." So I have this texture and I have this logo, Coca-Cola. Now I already removed the background, so it's on a, and by the way, I'm sure you know this already, but when you see a checkered background like this, it means it has no background. Okay, that's just Photoshop's way of saying it's empty. So I'm going to drag it using my move tool. I'm going to drag it onto the texture and drag it down. I'll enlarge it up by opening my transform tool, Control or Command T. Go to a corner and drag it out. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to move it. I'll just leave it the way it is. I can always change it, move it around. And if you, by the way, if you want to center it, if you want to center a graphic on, okay, what you do is you press Control or Command A to select your document, and you click the Align Horizontal Centers icon and the Align Vertical Centers icon, and then you deselect it. That automatically centers your graphic. There's many ways to do that, but I find that's the quickest. That's the quickest method. Yash Lawanda says, Dennis Main, well, England is very different state by state, but right now wedding season is on, so you can expect lights and firecrackers around you. Okay, that's interesting trivia. All right, so again, you know, I mean, it's basically the same principle. You know, frankly, I'll hide the graphic by clicking the eyeball icon. I'll click on my background, go to my channels. I'll find which channel has the most contrast. Well, this seems to be the one, but yeah, I'll use the red again. Okay, I'll drag it to the new layer icon. I'll open up my levels by pressing Control or Command L. I'll drag the input shadows to the right. I'll drag the input highlights to the left. Feels about right. I'll Control click or Command click the copy of the channel. I'll click the RGB thumbnail. I'll open back up layers, right? I'll make the Coca-Cola logo visible and active, and I'll click the layer mask icon. and that's what you get. Now, we're getting some nice nice effects here, but I want to make it a so if you don't if you want to if you want to compare it, so I'm going to go to history, click this icon, and click new snapshot and click OK. What this does is it's like a time machine. It remembers the exact stage of this of all the layers and everything. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, at this point, click off the chain link, drag the layer mask to the trash. I'll apply it. I'll go back to channels, right? I'll trash the red copy. I'll go back to, excuse me. Let me just do one thing here. I'll hide the logo, make the background active, go to channels, and at this point I'm going to use a different channel. All right, I'm going to use the blue channel. I'm going to make a copy of it, and then I'm going to open up levels, Control or Command L, and I'm going to, yeah, that's about right. It feels about right. Control click it, open, I'll click the RGB, go up layers, I'll make the graphic visible and active, and click the layer mask icon. I'm going to save this as a snapshot. So if you scroll up the history panel and click snapshot 1, you'll notice, see this subtle change as I toggle back and forth? I happen to like the second one I did. And if you want to mess around with that, we'll do the blend if. We'll do the blend if. So I'm toggling back and forth. I don't know if you were able to see all that before. I think I was on my screen. I apologize for that. But basically, I use two different layer masks, and I like this one better. But if you want to adjust the effect, the erosion even more, what I'll do is I'll double-click the Coca-Cola logo. I'll go onto Blend If, and I'll experiment by Alt-clicking or Option-clicking the layers, this layer, and I'm going to do the same for the bottom layer. Yeah. So if I take the underlying layer, you see what's happening? I'll do it to the extreme. But I like this very much. So if I go, so using the blend, this is with the blend if. Without the blend if, it's this. So the blend if for the underlying layer actually erodes the graphic through the underlying layer, which is the background, even more. And I think personally, I really like that. I mean, look at this. You got some really gorgeous things happening here. I'll go to the second layer without the blend if, and you also have some nice things happening here. When you're looking at it up close, I have a feeling, well, but they're both really cool. I mean, it really depends on the look you're looking for, but there it is. Dennis Mann says, I don't know why I'm asking a bunch of stuff. It's just that I like to learn new things about. Oh, he's having a conversation with another guy in the chat room. Yeah, have fun. So we've been on about an hour, which is it's enough time to chat and go over things. I really enjoyed spending time with you, and I'm just going to answer a couple of more questions, and that'll be it for the day. Dragon Milicevic, I'm totally mispronouncing your name, says, may I ask, what program are you using for recording videos? I'm using a program called Camtasia Studio. It's made by a company called TechSmith, and I find they're the best. That's, for me, it's a really good program. It's very robust and allows you to do some really cool things. All of the animations that I do for the intros and outros of my tutorials, they're all done inside Camtasia Studio. Let's Learn Guitar asks, can you teach how to add tattoos on a person? I did 2 or 3 of them. If you go to my channel, okay, and there's a little magnifying glass icon, you click on that, and that opens up a field that you can type in a subject. Type in tattoo. And all of my tutorials that I did on tattoos will come up. And you know, the most recent one is the one you should watch, because it's more updated, it's more streamlined, it's better, I find. Yash asks, can you make some tutorials related to color splatters, etc.? And yeah, I mean, I did. I did one about a year ago, but it's still relevant today. So just, again, go to my channel, type in color splatters. Mr. MNJ1193 asks a very loaded question. Marty, are you happy the Patriots lost? Okay, the Patriots, New England Patriots, played the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday for the Super Bowl. And, you know, look, the Patriots, what do they win? 5 Super Bowls? I think. I could be wrong. The Eagles, from what I understand, never won a Super Bowl. Again, I could be wrong. This is from what I thought I heard. You know, I'm not a big... I enjoy watching the main games. You know, I was really into baseball in the 80s and early 90s, but football, you know, I'm not an avid sports watcher to begin with, but the Eagles never won a Super Bowl, and you know, so it's not that I'm happy the Patriots lost. I'm happy the Eagles won. You follow? Because this was their first, you know, and Philadelphia is just, you know, they were the underdog, and they're, you know, they're celebrating now, and that's a wonderful thing. Manu Navarro asks, Marty, do you have AICC tutorials? So I'm assuming you know, it's Illustrator is what you're referring to. No, I don't. Earlier in this live stream, I had mentioned that the last time I used Illustrator was like more than 8 years ago, and it's gone through many versions, and frankly, I forgot how to use it, so no. Anyway, that's about it, and I'll let you guys know the next time I do a live stream. This has been fun, and I just, you know, I just want to mention one thing that maybe you can take away from this besides Photoshop and chatting. I just want to say, and you know, just be kind to people, you know, just because you know, you never really know what, you know, what the other person might be going through, whatever. I know there are a lot of people that I know that, you know, that's going through some hard times right now, and they put on a brave face and all that, but just You know, especially today, at least in the United States, with all the things, the politics going around and the partisan politics. Just be kind to people, and that's all. You know, be the best you can be, and life is short. Enjoy yourself, and until next time, take care.